Even in today's woke society, there remains a stigma to being a psychosexual sadist. If you get sexual pleasure from causing intense pain to people you are incapable of feeling empathy for, you need a place to relax and mingle with like-minded people. Well, look no further than Only Sadists, the sadist-only S&M club. At Only Sadists, you can compare notes on how to humiliate, manipulate, and maim your sex slaves with other local sadists. Just make sure not to practice on other patrons. They're not into that. Come on down to Sadists Only. It's the S&M club without the M. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
The stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hey, and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, starring me, Bryce Hanson. I held a PhD in spookology, and Professor David Day across from me is the foremost expert in scare no-nos.
Hey guys, how's it going? You having a good day? I'm having a good day.
New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Today, in honor of Pride Month, we're going to review pretty unanimously the most homoerotic horror movie. I did a poll on Facebook and just asked, like, what's the most homoerotic horror movie? And by a wide margin, people said Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, but I've seen this question asked in horror-themed subreddits. I've seen this question asked all over the internet, on documentaries. This is my first viewing of Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh, okay.
Freddy's Revenge. Mm-hmm. And I just recently got done watching all the other Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
So you skipped over 2 to watch the other ones.
Specifically skipped over 2 because I knew that was going to be the next movie we were reviewing, and I didn't want to view it twice. So I gotta say, Bryce, I'm a little confused about a few things. Uh-huh. Number one, it's not very gay.
Okay.
It's a little gay. It's not very gay, but also I feel like the gay community wants to be represented in horror, which is something I can kind of understand, but also don't really understand. Because if you're represented in horror, it just means you're going to be mutilated and killed horribly. Or possessed by Freddy Krueger. Which just all seems very undesirable to me. Like, it's like, I don't want that for the gay community is what I'm saying. I don't want y'all to be murdered, because you're an important part of my community. You make my neighborhood nice.
Well, the solution to that is to make the LGBTQIA plus representation be the murderer.
The murderer.
You have to have a gay villain, like a gay Michael Myers.
Well, that villainizes the gays.
Well, it doesn't victimize them, does it?
Yeah, I mean, this is the troubling part about being featured in a horror movie. You're either the villain or you're the victim.
Well, in this case, he was the final girl, so that works out.
Can't we just stick to pretty girls? Just kill them. Everybody can agree on that for some reason.
Okay, cisgendered white David.
I take that. I take it.
So before we get into the review, we want to point you to our fantastic community, like some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the horror community, at our Facebook group. So go to facebook.com/groups. Is it group or groups?
I don't know.
Just go to facebook.com/horror movie talk pod is our page, and then you can find a link to our group. join there and chat with all of us. You'll find links to everything on our website, horrormovietalk.com, to all of our other social media. We're on everything. We post new episodes every Wednesday. Please do me a favor. If you haven't, leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts if you can.
Do Bryce
our egos have taken a hit recently. We've gotten a couple bad reviews, and well, I'm not saying that they're wrong. My ego requires that I see some good reviews from people that like us.
Lots of people being like,
"Ew, David. Ew, no, David.
Oh my God, ew, David. David, you're a dick. David."
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they're
real cruel.
There can be like 300 5-star reviews, but those 30, less than 5-star reviews are like, I'm shit. I'm utter shit.
My uterus.
Call us, leave us a voicemail at 682-253-4468. And if you want to leave us sounds of bodily fluids exchange, our number is 252-228-4628. I guess we got to call that because I got to figure out what David's plans for that number even are.
It's retarded. It's just
retarded.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, let's get into it. We'll start out by giving a brief review on our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we'll play a game of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh, boy, I'm so excited. I love Fuck, Marry, Kill. Oh, man. I can't believe it's taken us so long to play this.
It's so simple.
Yay, David.
I was racking my brain on what to do for this episode, and every idea I came up with, like, after a couple minutes, was like, that could be offensive. Maybe that's a little too... I mean, I know my place.
Look,
in this world, and that there's some things that would be considered in very bad taste, even though it's done with humor.
Look,
or
when people stop making fun of you, that's how you know you're on thin ice.
Right.
If you're getting a good ribbing all the time, that's how you know people like you. So,
is it though?
Yeah,
I don't know if that holds true.
I think it holds true. I think if you walk into a room and everybody goes quiet, that's a lot worse than if you walk into the room and goes, look at this fucker. It's better if people are...
Well, there's a difference between getting made fun of to your face and behind your back. I mean, definitely...
That's not how I introed it, but I can see we've touched a nerve, so...
Well, what was your premise?
Yeah, if the room goes silent when you enter it, that's bad. If people aren't saying anything to you, that's much worse than if they're, giving you, if they're jabbing you, if they're taking shots at you. Oh. If they're taking shots at you, as long as they're not terrible.
Sure.
But how many rooms have you walked into and been like, "Fuck you, Bryce, get the fuck out!" Like that's the obviously
well,
also
anyways,
that.
Anyways, let's get into it. So again, in honor of Pride Month, we watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and it brings a whole new meaning to Scream Queen. Let's play the trailer.
Someone is coming back to Elm Street. He is not friendly. He is not patient.
Kill for me.
And he is not a welcome visitor.
No!
But he has something terribly special for the new kid on the block.
It started to happen again.
Dad!
I'm in trouble. You've had some scary dreams, okay?
Help! Daddy can't help you now.
There's something inside him.
Fight him. You are not afraid of him. He doesn't even exist.
Freddy Krueger is back on Elm Street.
Get out of here, Lisa!
Jesse, fight him.
Watch out for him. He'll be in your neighborhood soon. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2.
You are all my children now.
Freddy's Revenge.
I just realized that they've wasted an opportunity for a title of these movies. Has there ever been another Nightmare on Elm Street?
Ooh. No, there has not.
It's always a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Why not another? That should have been the title.
Another Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, you're good. That's a good point.
Anyways, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge can be found streaming on HBO Max and LGBTQIA+, which is a streaming platform that everyone's talking about this month, and I don't...
What's IA?
Intersex and ally/asexual.
Oh. Okay, so now I'm part of it because I'm an ally? Now I'm LGBTQIA+. So now everybody's in on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Seems... Okay, go on.
So Freddy's back for revenge, and he doesn't give a fuck if you're dreaming or not. A totally straight man named Jesse, with the scream of Ned Flanders, is haunted by nightmares of a scarred and razor-clawed monster man named Freddy Krueger.
With the scream of Ned Flanders killed me. I love purple drapes.
He finds out from his gym bro that the house he lives in was once inhabited by a young girl named Nancy, driven crazy by the death of her boyfriend across the street. Jess discovers Nancy's journal while cleaning his room and finds out that she was tormented by the same nightmares. Freddy Krueger in this film isn't out to kill the protagonist. He seeks to possess his body and carry out his murders in reality.
Whoa. My mind is blown.
What?
Nothing. That's just a mind-blowing thing. Yeah.
Okay. This film has a reputation as a huge disappointment to fans of the original and has a long history of getting shit on. I don't see the drop in quality as being that big.
No. In fact, having just kind of watched the whole series, there's not really... I mean, there's just little incremental drop-offs in quality throughout the series. Like, pretty consistent. In fact, the only thing I would accuse the entire series of is kind of just a lot of the same. You know, like, really, like, it just feels like one big, long movie. I can't remember where 3 stops and where 4 starts and where 5 ends and where 6...
Yeah.
You know, I will say the 6th one... The Final Nightmare, I think, was definitely the weakest, but not by a wide margin. And this one, number 2, I feel like is maybe the darkest version of Freddy I've seen, and has definitely the coolest version of Freddy in terms of visual. Like Freddy is goopy, and he's you know, the eye in the mouth. It's a really dark feel. That's similar to the first, that the others kind of get goofier and goofier. And there is no levity with this Freddy in 2.
Right. So the reason for the dislike of this film is probably because it strays so far from the premise of the first movie. Freddy's unique selling point is that he can kill you in your dreams and that sleep is unavoidable. In this film, that is barely touched on. The terror in this film is very personal to the protagonist as he witnesses Freddy take over his body and harm his friends around him. The homoerotic subtext might have been lost on a majority of general audiences in the 80s, and many of the scenes must have felt random if you didn't understand that Jesse's experience was an allegory for being a closeted gay teen. Now, by closeted gay, you know, those gays. Now, 40 years later, it adds a new layer of interest. I mean, for me at least, especially when you view it in the context that it was released right at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic.
What was this, 85?
85.
Yeah, because the first one was 84.
And I think I looked it up, like 85 was the year that Rock Hudson announced he had AIDS, and was the first, like a couple months before the release of this movie was Ronald Reagan mentioning AIDS in a public address. So it was just barely like starting to get in the general public's understanding that it was a problem. All of that aside, this movie has some great special effects. The scene with Jesse's Freddy transformation is going to stick in my mind for a long time. It's definitely not as tight as the original. At some points, it looks like Freddy runs out of ideas of how to supernaturally and psychologically torture his victim and just resorts to kind of just chasing them around.
This is the other big criticism I have of this. Of the series is like they really start grasping towards the later movies. It's like, but in this one, there's a moment. I love this moment. It's low key my favorite moment in the entire series, where he's like standing near the girlfriend or like across the hall from the girlfriend, and he's looking at her, and she's like, and then it cuts back to him, and he takes his hand and he pushes some plates off of a shelf.
Yeah, that's right.
I fucking died. I was on the fucking floor because he was like, "Yeah, does that scare you? How about if I fuck your China?" Ha ha! And she's like, "No, not my China."
Oh. Yeah, the acting in the film ranges from kind of bad to very good.
Yeah.
Mark Patton, the lead, does a really convincing job at conveying torment, and his performance keeps getting better and better throughout the film. I think it deserves more love. It's not fantastic, but it's a very good follow-up to the first film, in my opinion. I give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's a really fair review. In terms of how this fits into the series, this is definitely one of the better ones that I can recall. I like New Nightmare decently. It's nothing fucking fabulous. And Dream Warriors 3, I think, was okay. But the first one is heads and tails above the rest. That being said, I do enjoy this really dark, non-comical Freddy Krueger, and his character design in this one is spot on. It's the perfect. This is the best version of Freddy for me, in terms of just aesthetics. The way he looks, it's very creepy, and he has no levity at all. He's not. I'm back, bitch. It's okay,
and it's relentless.
Yeah. That being said, the gay subtext is largely lost on me. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of spots where you can go.
Well, we'll talk about it more in the spoilers.
Where you go, that's sexual, or that's a man being hypersexual. How rare. But I don't see the necessarily the big gay hubbub so much. But if the gay community is able to derive meaning out of this that I don't see, great. I want to be included on it from a critical viewpoint. So help me.
Right. Okay, well, before we get into spoilers, let's talk about our sponsor, nightchannels.com. They have some of the coolest one-off shirts that you can find anywhere. They specialize in horror movies and metal and occult shirts. It's not going to be stuff you can find at Hot Topic. It's going to be really obscure references that only the biggest horror fans are going to want to wear on their body. So really, the best thing you can do is just go to nightchannels.com and browse. You're going to find stuff. I mean, it's not all obscure. There's going to be some bangers in there. They've got Alien shirts. They've got
Hellraiser,
like,
The Thing.
Yeah.
They got Akira. They got an 8-bit Friday the 13th shirt that I love. It's really hard for me when I get on Night Channels to be like,
right.
No, you've spent enough money on shirts. You have too many goofy shirts, but
yeah.
I keep going back.
They're very affordable. If you use our code HMT at checkout, you get 13% off your order. So go there to nightchannels.com and use that code HMT and get a little bit off, and you'll like the shirts and you'll support the show.
Heck yeah.
If you don't like hearing that commercial or the upcoming commercials, you should know that you don't have to listen to them. If you join our Patreon, you can get the ad-free version of the episode with early access as soon as we finish editing it. We'll post it on Patreon without the ads, just so you know.
That's right.
Also, if you want to support the show, we have a horror movie talk shop on our website at horrormovietalk.com/shop. We've got our logo tees and a bunch of stickers that you can buy. And David just asked on our Facebook group, like, what's their favorite way to support
shows that you like,
or creators, and buying merch was number 2. So
for a long time, it was number 1. Yeah. So that tells me a couple things. That tells me that maybe we need more shirts, but also maybe we need a more expedited way to get shirts to our fans. But discussions, thoughts. So, but if you don't have money and you can't support us, we totally understand. We appreciate that, and you can do so. You can support the show just by sharing it with your friends, sharing it on your social media feed. Giving us a rating, all that stuff works really well, and we appreciate you.
Check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. If you've seen the cover artwork for this episode, that's all Dustin. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He's an amazing guy. We love having him support the show with his talent. And all we can do in return, well, it's not all we can do in return, but what we want to do in return consistently is send you guys over to his Instagram profile at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram, and check out his work and consider commissioning him to do artwork for you, which some of our fans have done to great result.
Quick plug for Dustin real quick. Specifically, you can check him out at an event in the Columbus, Ohio area. If you're an Ohio motherfucker, there's a fucking ton of you people out there that listen to this show. I know it because you're always reaching out to us. Anyway, in Columbus, there's an event going on called Prince and Pints Volume 4. It happens August 14th. So mark your calendars. Dustin Goebel is one of, 8 featured artists. So he's pretty prominently displayed in this. You guys can check it out, and you can learn more about that just by visiting his Instagram at dgoebel00 on Instagram. So do that.
So yeah, if you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers.
Yee.
Spoilers. So, yeah, let's talk about the gay subtext, because that's like the headline for this movie.
Yeah.
What were the parts that you noticed? And we'll see if they're the ones that I did.
So, there was plenty of overt sexuality in this show, shown by our protagonist. Most notably was the dancing in his bedroom with a cork. Shifting around as his dick. He's got a fucking girlfriend. They make out and he gets blue balls, sure, but it's because Freddy's possessing him. So that threw a wrench in the whole works for me, because I'm like, well, not saying that you can't be closeted gay and have a girlfriend. Plenty of people play it that way, and I
had friends that did that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's believable in that regard, but also he's into her. You can kind of tell he's into her. The big obvious one was the coach, who frequented an S&M bar, and really enjoyed making young males hit the showers, so to speak. Making them sweat and then hit the showers. He seemed like he had some gay subtext around him.
Well, no, they said that he was gay in the movie. Like, Grady said that basically there was rumors that he went to this S&M club and that he liked little boys, or pretty boys.
Which is which is kind of a fucking weird amount of shade to cast on the gay community, but I guess on par for 1985.
Right.
For mainstream media 1985. But I just didn't get a lot of the direct, like, people like, oh, it's so gay. Like, not only is this like supposed to have a lot of gay subtext around it, this is widely regarded as the gayest horror movie there is.
Right.
And Clive Barker exists. He is a gay horror writer and creator. So I don't know. I guess to me, I just expected it a lot more gay.
Yeah, I mean, it's some places it's subtle. Sometimes it's like, ooh, wow. I mean, it's a lot easier to spot now than I'm sure it was in the 80s because, yeah, you could, kind of gloss over it as just saying like, it's just a choice that they made.
There's also a bit of a relationship, like a little bit of an interest relationship going on between our protagonist and his gym locker buddy.
Right.
But nothing's acted on too terribly much there.
So, I mean, there's a couple ones that I think you missed. So there was...
I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of caught him in the movie. I just expected it to be, I like my homosexuals flaming, to quote Homer.
So, yeah, there's the ones you mentioned. The other one was like Freddy caressing him with his claws. There was a couple like really kind of sexual moments with Freddy, which isn't new for Freddy. I mean, he licked Nancy through a phone. Like and the subtext that he's a sexual predator.
Yeah.
In a previous life is like kind of built into the character, but this time he's doing it to the male.
Yeah.
Which adds another level to it. So it's like in the 80s, it's like, ugh.
Likes to hang around those steamy power plants.
So with Freddy is confirmed by
with all those hot rods running through it.
You gotta lay out more pipe. And then the other one, which was like, oh, well, that's funny if you're viewing this through the lens of being closeted, which is there's a scene where Jesse is like making out with his girlfriend, like the most sexual that they get in the movie.
Yeah.
He's like, they're gonna fuck.
They're dry humping for sure.
And then he's like, wait, stop. And then he runs out of the room and runs into Grady's room and basically like jumps on top of him. He's like, Freddy's coming. It's happening again. Or something like that. And so it's this subtext of like, he just ran away from his girlfriend and like went to this guy, and it was just the what's it called?
The implication.
The blocking of the scene like showed like, there's a little bit of subtext here, just, and like the clothing and what's happening at the time. And the guy's like, why are you in my bedroom? And it's like, okay, I see what you're going for here. But then overall, like the concept of Freddy, the personification of evil, possessing, Jesse and him trying to repress it or like keep it from happening. So, I mean, I'm not going to speak for anyone that's gay, but I had a really close gay friend that grew up with me in the Mormon church, and they're historically and currently not super friendly with the gays, even though they say they are. It's like a thing where,
did he run into your room and tell you that Freddy was possessing him?
No. Just gave me a lot of back massages. No. No, we were good friends. And I had no idea, like no clue whatsoever. My friends probably knew because I think they called me and him like Aunt Stephen and Uncle Bryce or something like that, because we hung out a lot. they knew, like, they had inklings of it, and I
okay.
just didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me that they called us that, but
Well, how is your gaydar, by the way?
pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Because I have a long history in the choral arts, which is, you definitely know a lot of gay people when you're around lots of musicians,
Creatives,
and vocal,
generally speaking.
Broadway artists and stuff like that.
I think my gaydar is pretty good until I talk to one of my gay friends, and they're like, "You don't know shit." I'm like, "Really?" And they're prove it, and they fucking prove it. They're like,
Right.
"Oh, watch this." It's like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know anything apparently."
Yeah. So the idea of being a gay teen in the Mormon church, basically
Dude,
you're
that's
taught
like
you're taught everything about, like, this is the purpose of life, is to have a family with kids, a man and a woman, be sealed for time and eternity, and that's basically the highest level of heaven, and how you're connected with God throughout eternity.
If you're a new listener, Bryce is an ex-Mormon,
Yeah.
so he grew up Mormon.
And if you're gay, that is just a horrible, there's no leeway given at all in terms of, like, relationships or love or commitment. It's like, no, the stock phrase, which I don't think is unique to the church, but to the Mormon church, is like, we love
Everyone.
the gays, we love the people, we hate the sin. So as long as you're gay, just never ever act on it ever.
I definitely knew some at least 2 closeted gays in high school who were Mormon, specifically.
Right.
Specifically. And they were tortured. You could tell. And I think one of them, and I may be speaking out of turn, I think one of them has a full family now.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's one of those things,
Not
that
a gay family.
You will go, that if you're in that situation, like, you're taught that what your natural inclination is wrong, and that what it is it's Satan trying to take over you and
what an evil
control
thing to
you.
do to a kid.
Yeah, it's
Wasn't this one of the points, like one of the main points why you guys ended up leaving the church?
yeah, there was a couple of years ago, just a second. I'm trying to be more polite.
That's not very nice of you.
A couple of years ago, there was this policy change. It was in November. It's called the November policy, but it basically codified that if you were, there's a lot of subtleties that's going to be lost in people, but the long and short of it is, it was this policy change that if there was a child whose parents were in a committed gay relationship, like were married and gay, that child would not be able to be baptized until they reached adulthood. And
So they're doing this child a huge favor, basically.
I mean, that's how they see it.
Pretty much any way. Dude, that's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, just
I mean, that was the point where I was like,
what would Jesus say about this shit?
exactly. I'm like, is this something that Jesus would do? Like, he was like around whores and like people that were the dregs of society, and everyone was like, you're around a lot of dirty people, Jesus. Couldn't we just, be around regular people? Whore. And he specifically taught to them and like showed compassion and healed them.
It's almost like we were missing the whole point.
Yeah. So that was a real turning point for me, to where I was, I had problems and I had doubts and stuff, and I was like, I don't really believe it, but I want to believe, kind of thing, and I want to keep doing it, but I'm pretty checked out. And then when that policy came out, I was like, fuck this. Yeah. But even then, it still took me a while. I mean, it has a really strong hold. So if you're in a position where you're told like a very natural thing that everyone's going to do and everyone is compelled to experience, that it's evil and that you have to stop that from happening with all your mental and physical power. It's horrifying. Like it's an unwinnable battle. And so that's like really where the subtext of Freddy being in him. So it's like the subtext is not a gay friendly subtext, because basically what it's saying is like, yes, being gay is evil. And you know, it's something that you don't choose.
All your worst fears confirmed.
Or yeah, it's that you are, you know, you're controlled by it and you have no choice by it, and it makes you evil. So I don't know. I thought from that perspective, it was really interesting. I watched that documentary about the guy that played Jesse and kind of his struggles with the movie over the years. And he's still pretty bitter about how he was treated, and kind of the gaslighting that the writer director would have, that they're like, no, there was no gay subtext in this. That didn't mean anything. We just wrote it as a normal horror movie. And then decades later now, like the writer's like, well, yeah, obviously there was gay subtext in it. And I can't remember if the writer was actually gay himself or not. But if not, then that's also kind of problematic of like, okay, you're speaking for someone else's experience. But to me, it's really interesting. It adds a level to it, and it's like adds a deeper level of analysis. For me,
it definitely forced my attention much more. I was like,
right.
So here we go. Finally going to sit down and watch the, in italics, gay horror movie. Mm-hmm. Here it is. So it worked in favor of my attention anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a gay viewer of this, like, you're probably going to get more out of it than someone that's not.
Yeah.
Especially if you're experiencing it in the 80s or whatever. But, yeah, that documentary called Scream Queen is on Shudder, and maybe somewhere else too. I think it might be on HBO Max. But that's definitely a good documentary. Really interesting. Really, like, this lead actor, like, really had like a depressing experience in the 80s, like just the whole thing of like losing basically everyone he knew to AIDS, and like experiencing the worst, you know, of the tip of the spear of prejudice, you know, at the most important time in your life, and then all of a sudden like, oh well, now it's accepted, but you're still coping with the trauma of it. And he was still coping with the trauma and wanted, you know, apologies and stuff like that. And it just kind of, it was sad.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And I think it's good news, and, you know, kind of bittersweet that now, like, we look back on those times, even though I lived through them, I was like, oh, wow, people just really hated gay people. Like, literally just, like, looked at them as evil people that should not exist. Like, it's like this different level than racism. It's not just like, oh, we consider you inferior people. It's like, we consider you people that just shouldn't exist. Like, that shouldn't exist at all. Like, we don't want to acknowledge you. And if it is acknowledged, like, that's scary to people, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of feelings wrapped up in confusion or just the unknown, right? Yeah. Anytime people are keyed in on shit they don't know. And
just the fact that like being gay was equated with being a predator, where it's like, oh, if you come across a gay man, be careful.
There's a lot of that in this movie, which is like, you know, I mean, first of all, the coach, and second of all, Freddy. We have two. There's some shade cast, you know, and it's not light.
I mean, the coach the coach role, like that was the most overt like reference to homosexuality, but then his death was like very like
steamy.
Like he gets murdered by being whipped in like towel whipped in the ass to death, and then like, you know, maimed by Freddy, but preceded by the worst locker room towel fight since Billy Driscoll.
Well, don't forget all the balls that came flying at his face.
Oh, that's right.
We got a 5-minute long sequence of just literally balls just flying at this man's face. I was like, and during this sequence, I was like, this is the silliest way for a man to die, is to have a bunch of basketballs thrown in his face.
Yeah. That, since we're talking about it, like that is the part that drew me out of the movie so much, was like, so, and I don't even remember how Jesse got to the S&M club, what the circumstances were.
He's basically woke up in the night and he was maybe like, it seemed like he could have been like, sleepwalking.
Oh,
perhaps?
that's right. He was like compelled or sleepwalking and just goes to the S&M club, which is another like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So his coach catches him at this club and takes him to the high school and makes him run and take a shower. And I'm like, what world is this where your coach outside of school
has unlimited reign over your life?
In the middle of the night can be like, you're coming with me. We're gonna run laps. You're gonna take a shower in front of me. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, no, I'm good. You can tell my parents that I was drinking, but I ain't going back to the gym for you.
Yeah. It sounds kind of gay.
It's almost like there's subtext there. So this is the second movie from the two that we're reviewing this recording session that confirms one of the longest arguments we've had, which is, what is the scariest natural? The last one was, what would win? What's the better weapon, a bat or a spear?
We're back to the sinkholes, are we?
And now the opening of this movie.
Look at you struggling. I like to see you
features
struggle.
the scariest natural disaster known to man, which is sinkholes.
Yeah. There was a sinkhole in this movie? I can't even remember it. I was so unfazed by
terrifying.
How non-scary it
the
was.
The opening sequence where they're on the bus and it drives out into the desert, and all of a sudden, the earth opens up to swallow the bus.
Yeah. Like a fault line, like a big earthquake came and like caused a big earthquake, and then like...
No, there was no earthquake. It was literally just the earth opening up to swallow them.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, how terrifying is that?
Well, I got to tell you, it's pretty scary. I'll give you geology-based natural disasters. Definitely very scary. I agree with you on that. The only thing that's more scary than a sinkhole is a massive geology-based natural disaster known as an earthquake.
Yeah, but if you're out in the desert in a bus, that wouldn't be scary.
What's not scary?
An earthquake?
Oh, yes, no, under very specific circumstances where you're in a very small area. I will grant you this under a lot of very strenuous pretenses. Yeah, the sinkhole will be scarier in the unnatural event that you're way out in the middle of the desert in a bus in a sinkhole.
I can strike anywhere, David.
And yet
you'd be driving around the middle of the freeway, and all of a sudden,
it's kind of weird.
Hell gapes open after you.
Mexico seems to have an awful lot of sinkholes that just pop up on the news all the time.
Yeah,
like if sinkholes are your thing that you're scared of, steer clear of Mexico. But you're pretty okay in Kansas, you know.
Yeah, I think Mexico has a ton of natural occurring sinkholes.
Are there unnatural sinkholes?
There's man-made sinkholes. Like, you can create sinkholes just by running water, underground for too long, and it fills up like a reservoir, and then when the water goes away. So like broken pipes and stuff can create sinkholes, but then there's like the natural occurring ones, which can happen anywhere.
Nightmare on Elm Street too.
So, yeah, this movie kind of departs from the whole dream sleep thing, which is a weird choice to make, but I respect it. And it adds like another level because I feel at least they're like branching out and trying to be more creative than just a dream boiler room.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, let's go to the eternal pipe room.
You're saying that because Freddy is trying to possess young Jesse and use his body in the corporeal form or in the physical form, his attempts to get into the real world through the dream world are... See,
well, I mean, even Freddy is torn. I mean, there's no like... You have to accept that Jesse can just be sleepwalking at any time. Like, because he's walking through the house and he goes down into the basement where the boiler is, and then Freddy just appears to him. Like his glove appears in the fireplace and appears to him and he torments him in real life. He's not sleeping.
That's true.
And
it didn't bother me so much. I mean, I guess because I've seen so many of the other movies that are just like the rules or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. It's one of these things where it's like,
again, the Ned Flanders scream. That is, it is striking. It is very striking. The first like introduction you have to Jesse is kind of hearing his scream from a distance, and it's very high pitched.
Right.
I'm not going to say feminine, but definitely not a scream that you would expect from a man.
I don't have the clip of Jesse actually screaming, but I do have a clip for reference.
Mm-hmm.
Purple drapes. All my life I've wanted purple drapes.
Well, so Ned Flanders there for you, folks.
So it was to the point where it was kind of distracting. It was like, really? That's really? And
it all kind of worked out towards the gay subtext, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did. And it's little things like that I could see bothering people, because that's like the first thing where it's like
some Archie Bunker motherfucking deeply homophobic person just sitting there trying to enjoy Freddy 2 and being like, the fuck is he screaming so high pitched?
It is kind of funny though.
Oh, it's hugely funny. Yeah.
It's like your first introduction. Like if you were an audience member sitting expecting the sequel to the instant classic that was A Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Elm Street.
We're giving them away, folks.
I always think Nightmare on Elm Street now. Whenever I think Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street. And you go, and like your first thing is like, ah! From your male protagonist. It draws you out, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what? It's one of those things where it's so distracting that it makes you think instantly, oh, this is a bad movie.
Right.
It's like when you see just a real shitty effect or a real like terrible line or line delivery, you're like, oh, this must be a bad movie. And then the movie has to earn your respect again.
Yeah.
Like to counteract it. And I just wonder how many
Archie Bunkers there were going, what the fuck is that?
So yeah, I love the cereal, the Fu Manchus. That was a nice bit where it just had, super racist Fu Manchu cereal. And then she was like getting the toy inside, which was these long Fu Manchu nails.
Yeah, no, they were
like Freddy's.
Yeah, they were like long finger extenders. And that actually prompted my wife to say, toys don't come in cereal anymore, do they?
No.
What the fuck is that?
They barely come in Happy Meals.
Yeah, and you got to, and now, with the Happy Meal thing, they're so concerned about like, which I actually appreciate. They're like, do you want two of the same? Because otherwise there's going to be fights in your car.
Right.
It's like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So then we go, after we're introduced to Jesse, we see him go play baseball at high school. And he gets tormented by Grady. Grady is like this weird relationship where he seems like they set it up to be his rival, and then he's also like his best friend.
What's up, bro?
I guess
he's such a bro. Grady's like this archetypal bro.
Right.
Like, he's good looking, he's tan, he doesn't care too much, but he cares a lot about sports, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The things he doesn't care about, you could fill a goddamn Olympic-sized swimming pool with.
Mm-hmm.
But the things he does care about, sports, you know, and saying bro in the locker room.
And so he pants Jesse, and you get to see Jesse's ass, which the girls comment.
They're like, ooh,
nice ass.
I like the new
Which
kids.
I appreciate as well. I mean, he did have a nice ass.
He certainly did.
Credit where credit is due. I think we talked about the other kind of subtext, the part where he's in class and the snake is slithering all over him. There's a little bit of symbolism behind snakes.
Yes.
And I love the fact that like 80s teachers are such giant assholes that they'll get mad at Jesse for being attacked by a loose snake.
Get your hands off of my snake.
But it's like, obviously you didn't see him walking opening. Like, you're careless and you let your giant boa constrictor out in the classroom.
He's roaming free. Yeah. Oh. I wonder. I bet you people have compared the snake to Satan.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
What?
The symbolism behind a snake is like, yeah, there's the Satan in the Garden of Eden, but there's also like, you know, you got a big old dick, you got a big old snake.
You don't just get to like just take the intelligent thing I say and just tack on like it was your idea, Bryce.
Okay.
No,
I'm glad that you brought it up.
Thank you. Now we can move on.
I was agreeing with you.
Okay. Well.
Oh, I can't agree with you now?
Oh, I can't sneeze?
Let's see.
I see. Actually, I see here in your notes, I actually stole your idea without knowing it. So that it was really more your idea.
What?
The snake thing. The snake
symbolism?
You wrote snake symbolism down.
Yeah, I said that before you said your thing.
No, I didn't hear you.
Okay.
I was too busy thinking.
No, I didn't hear you.
I was too busy thinking about all the snake symbolism in the movie. Oh, man. We have fun.
This is what it's like.
We have fun.
Okay, so
the dance scene, pop gun dance scene, I love it.
The dance scene is iconic. Like, it's very...
The one thing I do like about this movie is the effort that goes into the musical score to be an authentic 80s musical soundtrack that like rips off real 80s songs. It's like that's not quite the song that it is supposed to be, but you know which Tina Turner song they're singing. You know?
Right.
It's like, oh, I know what they're going for here. And he's dancing around with his pop gun dick, and then as soon as the door opens with his mom and his girlfriend, he's like, "Patow! Pop goes the weasel." And everybody's kind of like, there goes Jesse with his big old donger.
Okay. And then...
Popping off.
Okay, so my absolute favorite scene in this whole movie...
I mean, we'll share our favorite scenes. You go first.
Like, my favorite scene was the transformation where Freddy... It's basically like a werewolf scene.
Yeah.
That that
was a good one.
The claws come out of the tips of his fingers, and like his whole arm kind of explodes into like the sweatered arm of Freddy. And then like it's very like from, society where you see Freddy's head through his chest, like pushing out.
Yeah.
And he comes like through his fucking thorax.
Yeah. To get at his buddy friend.
Right.
And he kills him.
Yeah.
Kills him real good.
Like, it's a real horrifying scene. Like, it's Jesus. Like,
it's pretty
and
impressive.
You expect, like, well, I guess we're not going to see Jesse again. But
it's pretty impressive that that Jesse never gets any of this pinned on him. You know, he's able to evade the capture pretty consistently. And to add to, you know, your this does a lot of great werewolfish sort of transformations and reformations. So like at the end, when Freddy gets burned alive in the boiler room for, you know, presumably the second or third time, then Jesse is within him, like all crusted over, like he's like pulling the crust of Freddy off of him and like re-transform. That's a great one too. Literally, the scene I will never forget in this is Freddy Krueger standing in the hallway and knocking the I am so in love with, because he's done all this fucking horrible shit and he's chasing her and she's like, ah! And then it pans back to him, or it doesn't pan, it just flash cuts back to him. And he's standing there and he's like, yeah, is that scary? And he just reaches over and pushes some plates onto the floor. I was like,
Freddy is a representation of the ultimate evil, which is a common house cat.
A common house cat. Tossing shit off of counters and bullshit. It was so great. But I also really enjoyed the ending 15, 20 minutes of this whole thing. Normally in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, I check out as soon as they hit the boiler rooms. I'm just like, fucking, this is nothing. This is nothing. It's done so well in this one. Like, they have these big, impressive, like, panorama shots shot from helicopters. Right. They have, like, for some reason, the power plant is back up and running, and it's kind of got a bunch of eerie. It's got a real vibe going, and it works in this one. It really does work. So I really enjoyed the ending sequence of this one. But I will say I was pretty bored. This seemed to be a 2-act movie. Do you think that's fair? It seemed like there's the start, and then there's the last half hour when, you know, at the that really kicks off at the pool party.
Well, I mean, but I can still see 3 acts. Like,
can you?
The introduction and kind of like before everything really starts happening, and then the second act would be like when he starts getting taken over by Freddy Krueger and trying to like save it.
It felt pretty similar to me, but
then like in the end, like, yeah, it's just a difference of like
the first 10 minutes, I guess.
Like amplitude, you know.
Yeah. They
just turn it up slowly over time. So the one thing that was kind of like, that's kind of a weird choice, but so Freddy finally takes over Jesse, you know, and after he knocks off the plate from the counter, what he does is proceed to attack this pool party and just kind of chase teenagers around.
I'll spill your beer, damn it.
He's like playing the world's scariest game of tag.
Yeah, and
backyard.
They all hang out.
Yeah, and they're all like just kind of huddled in a corner.
They're like, yeah, but the pool party's still going on. I'm not leaving this thing.
Yeah.
Linda's about to take off her top.
Right. So that was like, Freddy doesn't work good in a group scene. I feel like it's better if he's attacking one person at a time.
I'll say, you know, I enjoyed it, but for a different reason, not maybe because of how the, you know, how well the spooks landed, but I can't say this enough. The way Freddy looked in this was perfect and so much more impressive than the later ones. Like, you know, Jason always has a different mask, but Freddy varies wildly in makeup from movie to movie. Oh yeah, big time. And this one is the tops them all in my opinion. It's much less Robert Englund, much more makeup.
Yeah,
and
it gets much more Robert Englund later.
Yes,
like it's Robert Englund with like a little bit of stuff, you know, glued to his face.
Right. Yeah.
So how this ends is his girlfriend burns Freddy alive, and Jesse reemerges, And I just love the fact that he's not released from Freddy's control until he's flaming.
Fair. Little goofy, little corny, but, it's kitsch, which we allow here.
Okay. So, who would you recommend Nightmare on Elm Street 2?
This is, I would say, this is one of the better sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street.
And really, Freddy is one of the best villains, and this is probably one of the best versions of Freddy.
And come to think of it, after discussing it with you a little bit and approaching this from a place of a little bit of confusion of like, is this really that gay? Or like, around that area of confusion. I'll say now I kind of see more of the struggle, more of the dealing with, keeping something secret, having to. You have a secret, and you can only tell certain people who you trust about it. And in this case, it's Freddy's inhabiting your dick, and so I get it. I get it a little bit more, and I don't know if you can relate to having to keep a secret, whether you're gay or straight or whatever, then this is. You're going to feel some amount of,
empathy
with this.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to our game. We're going to play a couple rounds of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh boy. I'm so excited.
This is a very special horror round of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Did you say
horror? No, I said Fuck, Marry, Kill.
You said horror.
Okay, so round. I don't know how we should we just answer it each ourselves? Yeah, it's not really a game. It's more of a exercise in attraction.
Yeah.
Okay, so round one.
Personal taste.
Round one is Ash Williams.
Ash Ketchum?
From Evil Dead. Hannibal Lecter and Candyman.
See, this is tough. Ash. Okay, so I'll tell you the way I play. Everybody plays this game different. This is one of those games where everybody's like, no, it's not. I'll tell you how I play it. And if you don't like it, then you can play it the way you play it and leave me alone. The person you fuck, you fuck. The person you marry, you fuck, and you're married to them for the rest of your life.
Right.
So it's all.
You could fuck them as much as you can convince them to.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're legally obligated to.
Honey, have this punch card.
The state says we need to have sex. Okay, I undeniably, Ash is my type. So I'm going marry Ash.
Okay.
I'm not into old, so I'm going to say kill Hannibal Lecter. He seems also like perhaps the most reprehensible. And then I'll go fuck Candyman.
So why fuck Candyman?
I don't have any strong energy necessarily around Candyman. He's a fine looking man though, and he's not old. So I'll fuck him and kill. That's what most of these games end up being. There's one super undesirable person who you don't vibe with.
Right.
And so you kill. You kill them every time.
Right.
And for me, that's...
I thought you said that Hannibal Lecter was reprehensible. I thought you'd want to fuck Candyman. Or wait, you did...
Yeah, I'm fucking Candyman and killing...
You're killing Hannibal. Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I would go... Yeah, I feel like I work backwards. I start with Mary.
Oh,
okay.
who
could I live a life with?
This is so gay. Go on.
And I gotta go with Hannibal Lecter. Like,
you could live a life with Hannibal Lecter?
He's super intelligent, cultured, have great conversations.
He's guaranteed to eat you.
He's not guaranteed.
Well, if he eats people, he definitely eats ass.
Exactly. So
I see where you're going.
Could
with
experience
it.
that.
Okay, all right.
And he's older, so he's got experience. You know,
He's probably doesn't shy away from much.
yeah,
And you got a lot to offer in that regard.
right.
Terrifying.
And it's real close with fuck. Like I mean, Ash Williams and Candyman. I mean, they're both just so attractive.
You do run the danger of being called racist here by me. I'm going to call you racist.
Yeah, I mean,
No matter what you choose, really.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Ash does that much for me. Like, I feel like I'd want to experience Candyman, so I'd fuck Candyman and kill Ash.
Something about the name, you know? Candyman.
I know.
It's like, yeah, I had sex with the Candyman.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's another thing you think about when you fuck someone. It's like, well, who can I talk about that I fucked?
Plus, he's lost that hand, so all kinds of attachments, optional attachments. Maybe not the hook.
Right.
Yeah, let's leave the hook away.
Okay.
Okay.
And you just can do some stump play, you know? Okay, round two. Round two.
Ew, no, David.
This is the classic monster round. We've got Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and Gillman from Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Gillman. Okay. Dracula, I would, yeah, I'm working the way you work now, which is I'm marrying Dracula. Yeah, he's cultured. He's got so much more than even Hannibal Lecter to talk about. I mean, this guy's got centuries worth of bullshit. He can offer me eternity. And if he cares about me, you know, he won't force it on me, but that's, so I'm marrying Dracula. I don't have anything in common with Gillman. I feel like we're two separate species. And furthermore, where would I put it? Like I would assume he has a cloaca, and I don't want to get some, you know, porpoise dick up in my beehole.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to kill him and fuck Frankenstein's monster. Although when I say it that way, I don't like it as much. Ugh.
I mean,
Ugh.
could you take Frankenstein's monster? That's the question.
I'm assuming I get to choose what's happening here because I choose fuck, marry, kill. So I get to, like, maybe I just do Frankenstein.
Some of them you get to be top, some of them you get to be bottom, I guess.
You don't get to determine that. That's between me and my sexual partner. What about you?
Do you feel like Frankenstein's monster is a top or a bottom?
I mean, I guess it depends who you are. If you're Frankenstein, then definitely a bottom. Right? Because
you created him.
You created him and you're his master. But I don't know, I feel like he fucks people on the reg, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay, so I would agree with you. I'd go marry Dracula. He's charming.
Yeah.
Cultured.
You can't beat him.
He's rich. I mean, let's not undersell that.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes your life more comfortable.
Can turn into a bat. I finally get to learn where Transylvania is.
Could finally get someone that could, like, stay up late at night with me, you know?
Yeah.
Not fall asleep. Then...
Oh, but he can't take him in sunlight.
That's true.
Big downside.
But I don't like going out. That's the other thing. It's like...
We stay in.
Hey, let's go do stuff. I'm like, no, I'm kind of a homebody. I like staying inside.
Both obsessed
during
with
the day.
death. Coffins.
Right.
Let's sleep in the coffin tonight.
And then I disagree. I would fuck Gillman.
Ugh.
It's like, I don't know, slippery. Like, I feel like there's a lot of, like, slippery good fun, you know, there. I mean, I think that's what it would sound like. Like, specifically. I think everyone, at least once in their life, should have the experience of fucking a gill.
That sounds so vile. That's so...
And then I'd kill Frankenstein's monster. Mostly because I would feel so intimidated. I wouldn't, because I feel like Frankenstein's monster is a top. I don't think I could handle that. It would rip me in half.
I mean, there's a couple of things that can happen there. You know, like, have you ever heard that song Detachable Penis? Detachable penis. Yeah, I don't know. Something going on there. You know, he's pieced together from parts.
I did not think about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
you could just like swap it out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
You slap it on the vagina on that thing. All of a sudden, it's a lot easier.
I'm on to something. Got some of that electricity in them too, you know?
Oof.
Yeah. You seen that movie Frankenhooker?
You feel that, between you and Frankenstein, you feel that spark. Ooh. All right. Round 3. This is the only round with an actual female on it.
Oh, okay.
This is the doll round. So we got Chucky. We have Billy.
The doll round.
We have the Billy the puppet from Saw. And we have Annabelle.
Annabelle's a real limp fish, you know? She's one of those gals that's just going to sit there and let you do things,
right,
and she's not going to be a part of it, you know? And it's questionable as to whether or not she's actually, like, animate.
Yeah. She's just real distant. She's not really there or present.
Yeah, no. I really didn't care for the second movie either.
Mm-hmm.
Did like the first and the third. I'm going to say kill Annabelle. I feel like Chucky really has a lot of abuse in him. You know, like Chucky's low-key like the most terrifying of slasher villains because of how truly hateful and evil he is. He's
right.
a very douchey dickhead. So I guess I'd fuck him. And then I'd marry the Jigsaw doll. What's his name? Jigsaw?
Billy the puppet.
Billy the puppet. Marry him. Because, then you probably get the marionette guy who's working that marionette. So
2 for the price of 1.
Right.
I think I'd kill Annabelle too. I don't know. It's real hard. This one's a hard round.
It is a hard round.
I would not want to marry Billy because I feel like he'd just be playing practical jokes on me too much.
That's
true. Like everything would be like, God damn it, I just need to get to work. Like that video on YouTube.
Constantly waking up with traps on your head.
I want to play a game.
But I mean,
and then I guess marry Chucky, but I don't know. I don't feel that great about it.
We saw how that worked out on Bride of Chucky last month on our second Saturday watch party, where we watched Bride of Chucky, and I'm
going to change my mind. I'm going to marry Annabelle because at least I can live with someone that's not going to kill me.
I mean, there's no doubt that Annabelle won't be killing anybody.
Yeah.
Because she is boring.
Round 4, last round. The most important round. We have Jason, Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger.
Oh, wow. How could you do this? Can't make me choose between the big 3. I love Jason. I love him. There's something about him that's just simple and it just works. They say love is effortless. And that's how I feel about Jason. So I'm going to have to marry Jason. Michael Myers just isn't that scary. He's got arguably the worst sequels of the 3.
Sure.
I don't know that Freddy would be that interested in me. And I can't really put a finger on why. But that makes it... And he's more of a... I feel like he's a real dick. So I feel like I wouldn't feel so bad making him fuck me. So I'd fuck Freddy and let's just kill Michael Myers. Because Michael Myers is not going to be fazed by me killing him.
Right.
He'll be back. I'm not hurting him.
That's true.
I'm not hurting him at all.
I mean, really, any one of them.
Really, any one of them, the least so being Freddy. Freddy has the hardest time dealing with death.
Yeah.
Jason, who knows? And Michael Myers, guaranteed coming back. Guaranteed.
So I'm going to go pretty opposite of you. I'm going to marry Freddy because he has a personality. someone I can talk to at least. Like, and I feel like
it's overrated.
He is a very sexual being, so I feel like that would be like that motor would be there throughout the marriage.
You're way outside of his wheelhouse, though.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, obviously, if we're talking about Mary, there's an element of love there.
You're still boyish.
Right.
You don't look old.
That's true. I'm not his type, but
yeah.
I mean, he's not just going after.
When I look at you, I don't see someone who's almost 40.
Exactly.
I see like mid-20s.
Right. So I'd marry Freddy Krueger. I would fuck Michael Myers and kill Jason.
Why? Now expand on those two.
I mean, they're so close, but Jason really, really, really doesn't like sex. He kills, like, he has a thing against it. It's kind of like a Puritan, he's just like, gets him real angry. So I don't feel like he has a lot of baggage around it, so I don't feel like it would be a good experience.
That's a real good point. I'm in for the long haul being married to Jason.
Yeah.
Dang. Didn't even think about it.
Sorry, bud. All right, that's Fuck, Marry, Kill. Thank you so much for listening. Please do us a favor. Share the podcast with a friend that you know likes horror movies. And if you can and have not yet, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Lots of different ways you can support the show. Go to horrormovietalk.com to find out those ways. Special thanks to Dustin, as always. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. We love you. Happy Pride Month.
Looking for a podcast full of burps and gas, perverted cast, skinny and fat? Look no further. Horror Movie Talk is accidentally funny, begs to donate money, fake sponsors for dummies, and so much more. New episodes every hump day. They'll pickle your dickle for foreplay. Patreon members have it your way. Vote for a movie every month for the review. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Train addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rumps. Kiss Bryce Hansen. Look at them hot kids, Chris Henson. Masturbate with a crucifix, exorcist. Face huggers, chest bursters, alien. Linda Blair peed on Sigourney Weaver. I know it's true cause it came from social media. Patrick Bateman can't understand you. Stab you to death for rotten apple reviews. Opinionated podcaster with a doctorate. Spookology, doctor of philosophy. Bad gastritis, need colostomy. Turn Patreons into human centipedes. David Doobie Day, scare no expert. And global fucks hard, professional sexpert. Afterpods, taglines, and porno flicks. American Psycho, them guys pretty sick. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Train addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rumps. Nothing good happens in the woods. Always get more than you bargain for. Got a pickle to dickle, machines tickle bitties. Killer on the phone, ain't no Sharon Stone. Vancouver, Portland, Oregon, and organs. Corona, COVID, curse, Lorona. Green River Killer, because reasons. Hallway of poop monster kids screaming. Ain't your ordinary dingleberry itinerary. 30 days shutter and jump scares, they fucking scary. Time for the spoilers with jokes and tropes. Use their white socks to catch their loads. Just show them one titty, pretty. Paganism you should worship, they Teflon dicks. Pacific Northwest, let them see one breast. Shifty ass, stay spooky, poor man's digress. Bugsy. lights off. Hold on, they don't like Halloween. Fuck them.
I will suck your dick. I will suck your fucking dick. I will do it. Just join my team. I'll suck your dick. You can fuck me or get fucked by me. You can watch me fuck something. Just point at something in the room and I'll fuck it for you. Come on, just tell me what you want me to fuck.
Jesus Christ, MacGruber.
Just tell me what you want me to fuck.